Hi,
Hey Peyton, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Jonathan?
I'm fine, thanks.
Thank you so much for doing this.
I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you spreading the word on sustainability.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's something that I've really just recently been learning about. And I mean, I've always obsessed over, but I feel like never really had the proper education or resources or anything.
Sure.
And so I've been stalking your Instagram and trying to find people like you and to educate myself. And I thought, okay, if this is a topic that I'm passionate about, maybe I should use my page to help educate others. And when I asked yesterday, I feel like I got so many questions for you. And a lot of people are really interested and kind of feel the same way I do. So I think climate change and everything else is weighing so heavily on everyone.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so I just, yeah, thank you.
Now I really appreciate you using your platform to spread the message on sustainability. I think it's a great use of it.
Yeah, I mean, um, how did you get started in the whole sustainability world?
I mean, I was working in a warehouse as a supervisor, and it was for a retailer, and there's all this disposable stuff, and I didn't really know what zero waste was. I thought, I'm from the Bay Area, from San Francisco area. I know about sustainability. I'm an environmentalist, but I felt like the work I was in didn't align with my values. So I was like, if I go all the way to the trash, to the end of a product's life, then maybe I can work my way backwards. So that's how I got into working in sustainability and zero waste because I work in the trash industry.
Wow, that's insane. I was seeing that you do a lot of work in Los Angeles with recycling and helping businesses transition. And I was wondering how a business starts.
Yeah, the first thing you do is look at what you're throwing away. It's funny because a business and like an individual at home, it's a similar process. What are you throwing away? So if you're a restaurant and you look, oh, you're throwing away a lot of food. Is there a way to reduce the amount of food that you throw away? Or you're throwing away a lot of disposable forks. Can you replace them with reusable forks? So it's really looking in the trash and working backwards.
Mm, that's really interesting. Yeah, I feel like with COVID, I've just seen even more use of plastic and, one use, single use items, and a lot is being thrown away. Do you have any sort of tips with that for that?
It's tough because obviously everybody has to figure out what's safe for them, what they're comfortable with. But I encourage people to try and do as much cooking at home right now during COVID. I know, or if you do go eat out, try to support a restaurant that's going to put things in more sustainable packaging. Because you think about it, if you just order every meal delivered to you, it's really easy and convenient, but you're increasing the amount of like disposable packaging and plastic and utensils that are being in circulation. So the more you cook at home and try and, you can definitely help minimize food waste that way and
Yeah.
minimize disposable packaging. I mean, it's tough. Even I'm the zero waste guy, and even I have accumulated my fair share of plastic bags and utensils right now because, I want to eat out too sometimes.
Yeah,
So
well, I admire on your page how honest you are. I feel like you're not trying to put on a facade. Like it's hard to
yeah,
be completely zero waste.
yeah, it's impossible to be completely zero waste because we live in cities and areas where a lot of things are packaged. A lot of our products come from all over the world to get to us. So even if I don't make trash at home, there's still a lot of waste that's being generated just for us to kind of live the way that we do. So I try to show people how they can just be a little more balanced because when I went zero waste, I was like 100% strict zero waste. It lasted
Wow.
about 2 years and I started getting burned out because it was just like I was getting too stressed out, too obsessed over like not wanting to get any packaging, or I would get angry if I asked for no straw at a restaurant and the server brought me a straw. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Maybe I need to take it down a notch and just say, what can I do to live as zero waste as I can, but not get upset or lose sleep when it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Because if I can get everybody, and that's why I try to be honest, right? If I can get everybody to reduce waste by a little, it's going to be a lot more impactful than me losing sleep over not being perfectly zero waste.
Yeah. How do you think that, what are some small things that we can do to get started at home?
Yeah. So just like with the business, look at what you're throwing away. So look at disposable items, something you use one time. what are these items, and can you transition to using things that are reusable instead? So the first thing come to mind is like face tissue. You could use a cloth, there's cloth instead. Diapers, maybe you're able to use reusable diapers, cloth diapers for your kids. Cotton balls, I mean, pretty much everything that you throw in the trash. Baggies, there's reusable baggies these days. There's Tupperware containers you can use. So it all starts at the end. It all starts in the trash, and we work backwards from there.
Very cool. I feel also with ordering online and all of the boxes and all of that, what is your advice with that?
Oh my goodness. I don't know what to do about it, to be honest. I'm being perfectly honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it used to be when you looked in the recycle stream 20 years ago, there was nothing but newspaper. Now you look at the recycle stream, there's nothing but cardboard. And everyone's like, oh, that's great. Cardboard's recyclable. And it is, but not when there's too much of it, because somebody needs to buy it. So I really wish that all these companies that do delivery would start taking their packaging back. That'd be really the most impactful, because most of these boxes, it was now with like next day delivery or same day delivery. Sometimes that box was only used for a few hours or a few days, and it probably could be taken back and used again.
Yeah. I was seeing the company TerraCycle, and you can put used products in there, and they'll take the packaging. And do you use companies like that?
So zero waste, it's like yes and no. It's like I love companies like TerraCycle because they are creating opportunities to recycle things like cigarette butts and chip bags and other items that would otherwise just go in a landfill. So I think that's great. But really, I want to when you think about being more sustainable and zero waste, we really want to shift away from items that are even recycled. We want to really get to more reusable, because that kind of mimics like more nature.
Right.
And so I think those companies are great. They fulfill a need, but I would rather see somebody use a more reusable option and just avoid using something that's single use or disposable to begin with.
Mm-hmm. So in LA, how do you travel? How do you get around? Do you bike everywhere?
I've gotten a little bad with in the last year because of COVID, not wanting to use public transit and whatnot. But I am very lucky. I live in a neighborhood where I can walk to the metro. So, I used to every day I would walk or ride my bicycle to the metro and take it to downtown LA or take it somewhere to go get to the office. So I still think it's a great way to travel. I'm looking forward to when everyone gets vaccinated, so it gets to be a little more safe, a little more comfortable. But generally speaking, if it's under a mile, I walk. If it's within a few miles, I try to ride my bicycle. And if it's further, if I can reasonably take the metro or the bus, I will do it. Obviously, if you said, hey, do you want to go meet me for coffee in Santa Monica? I'm like, oh, that's 2 hours on the train. I'm not going to do that. But
so no friends in Santa Monica.
You want to go downtown? I can do downtown. So, it's all zero waste for me. It's all about finding balance.
Yeah, I know. I feel like those are long distance friendships. Anyone who lives, you're not going to see them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know we have our little bubble, especially in LA. There's so many different neighborhoods, and it's so spread out that it's easy to get in our bubbles. But I live in a bubble. It's very walkable and easy to get around on foot or on bikes. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, that's great. I have a couple questions that other people asked. They basically were just asking, how can someone living in a city with low economic resources reduce their impact? Can they do it as much as someone from another walk of life? Like, is it harder?
It's a tough question. What I always say is to be as sustainable as you are able to be as zero waste as you're able to be. So if you live in that type of environment and you can take public transit, it's safe and whatnot, do it. If you're able to go to a grocery store that has a bulk section so you can go get your nuts and your produce and everything without plastic packaging, then do it. But if you live in an area where you're not able to do that, then I'm not going to hold that against you. Just do the best you can where you are. Because I see some people do that here. They go, where's the bulk I want to buy some, refill my shampoo and my lotion. Oh, it's 20 miles away. So they're going to drive 20 miles each direction, spend an hour in traffic each way just so they can eliminate a little plastic packaging, I mean, they might have consumed more resources than just going to the store that's closest to them. So just be as zero waste as you can be, but try not to be hard on yourself, because it's not always easy. I mean, I'm knee deep in it every day, and I'm not perfectly zero waste. I don't always go to the farmer's market. I don't always buy the package free option. I just do the best I can with my resources.
Yeah, I've been seeing more refillable stores opening up where you buy all your items there and then you come back when you run out for laundry detergent and anything that's in the house, which is
Yeah,
cool.
there even a few years ago, like if you like Googled zero waste, hardly anything would come up. And now you type in refill and there's like, I mean, in LA, there's got to be at least a dozen of them
I've
everywhere.
noticed a lot of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one in my neighborhood and I can bike to it. So I'm like, okay, I can bike to it. I can refill my things and then bike home and I feel a little bit better. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of anxiety around the climate crisis, especially for Gen Z. It's like, oh my gosh, we have to clean up after all the people before us. And I think, I guess as an individual, just reducing your little amount will help ease that. But is there anything else that you would say to people to help them ease their climate anxiety?
Yeah, take a deep breath. I know it's hard. It's overwhelming. And I don't even usually say like climate change. I don't say global warming, because it overwhelms people and they just feel like, oh, this is such a big problem. I don't know what to do. And what I say to them is like, every little bit counts, because brands, businesses, companies, they have a lot of power, but we as consumers have a lot of power too. And if we continue to shop as sustainable as possible, I guarantee you, if we blew up all these refill stores, refilling all of our products, and we never went into the big box retailers, every single one of them would start doing bulk refills as well. So we really do have the power. We just can't give up.
Exactly. I completely agree. I mean, you've even seen it with cruelty-free beauty products or whatever it is. It's like, okay, if we'll only buy cruelty-free, well, then everyone has to become cruelty-free because that's all we'll buy. And, you know, it'll just collapse. But I think, yeah, even with sustainability and everything else, I think I've realized, oh, the power that we do have as consumers. And I think, I mean, I notice a lot of people holding brands accountable and everything else now. There's a big wave, I think.
Now more than ever, and I think it's a younger generation, more millennials and Gen Zs, they're really demanding that the brands, the companies that we shop, we support, are more transparent about where they're sourcing their products and if they're ethically made, ethically sourced. And we really do want products that will last a long time, that are more recyclable, that are compostable and everything else. So it's a great trend that we're seeing.
Yeah, I saw that you do a lot of composting and that you have worms. How,
I have tens of thousands of worms. You'd be blown away.
oh my God. Um, so do you have a backyard? Do you grow your own vegetables back there and use your
I don't, I unfortunately, I live in an apartment. I don't have any open space. I keep my worms in my carport in a big plastic tub, and I feed them all of my food scraps, and they love them. And then I just
oh
give
my God.
they call them worm castings, which is essentially the worm manure. I give that to my friends who have yards and gardens and stuff, and they use it.
Wow, that's really cool. I've been composting at my house too, but what was I going to ask? What do you think about composting bins in cities? Because when I walk, one of my best friends lives in Berkeley, and I walk around there and I see all the composting bins, but are they actually using it? Like, what are they doing with it?
You mean, what do you mean, like the trash truck comes and picks up a compost bin?
Mm-hmm.
That's everything. Yeah. One of the best things we can be to be sustainable is to reduce the amount of stuff that we need to have collected in a big, heavy truck that drives it really far to be processed or to compost and whatnot. So I think it's great. If you live in a city where they will take your food scraps and your yard waste and they'll take it to a facility and compost it, that's great. But if you live somewhere where that's not an option, I think the best thing you could do to have an impact is to take the food waste and yard waste out of those bins and put them in your backyard if you can. And if you don't have a backyard, you can still compost with worms. Like, I literally have mine just in a bucket in my carport. So I think those systems are great. But if it was up to me, there'd be no trash trucks on the road, because we would be reducing the amount of stuff that we need to have hauled away and processed like that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because it's pretty complex. But you know, Berkeley's got a great system, but most people in this country probably don't have access to the amount of recycling and composting that someone like in Berkeley does. So that's why it's like, you know what, I'd rather just, even if I did live there, I'd still compost at home, because I'm literally keeping those nutrients right in my neighborhood. And if I have a backyard, I can take them and put them right back into my garden at home, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'll flip the compost bin at home and I see sparks coming out of it. It's insane.
Well, if you get your compost going right, it'll heat up and get pretty hot. It's hard to do it, but you can catch it on fire too if you get it hot if you get it hot enough.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, so
it makes it a little more fun.
Honestly, it is fun though. It's rewarding. It's like so rewarding for me to put my food scraps into this bin and then periodically pull it back and see all the worms, and they're like red and vibrant and happy. And then you go to the very bottom and there's all their manure, which is like really nutrient rich. I can put it in, like I said, I give it to my friends and family, but it's so cool that you can just literally see like nature in action, like right in our backyards and our carports in our front yards. So I think it's really cool.
I do too. And I got another question about what is e-waste and why is it a huge problem?
Yeah, so we say like e-waste, like electronic waste. So anything that that has a power switch in it, anything that plugs into a wall, that is, it's an electronic item. E-waste is problematic because if you think about it, 20 years ago, I know it's hard for a lot of people to imagine, nobody had a cell phone. They did not exist. Most people didn't have laptops, and a lot of people didn't even have computers. So I'm trying to think the people watching this right now, imagining that nobody 20 years ago had a cell phone. Now all of a sudden, there's got to be hundreds of millions of cell phones in probably over 1 billion cell phones that are in circulation being thrown away. All these electronic devices, they have microchips, they have precious metals, they have gold in them. And if you look at your phone, it's just, I have an iPhone. It's just like all these different components fused together. And if you just throw that in the trash, it's not like it's just going to sit there forever. And all of a sudden, those precious resources, the lithium ion battery, the gold, all the metal, all the plastic, it's just gone forever. It's in the landfill forever. And I'm not an expert in this, but a lot of the precious metals that we put in our phones and electronic devices, we take them from other countries. And I don't know if it's necessarily, if they're harvested in the most sustainable manner. We don't know if the workers are being treated fairly. We don't know if they're harming the land where they're extracting those. So e-waste is problematic because so much of it doesn't get recycled. It just ends up in a landfill, and it's not good for the environment. So we literally went from nobody having electronics to now we all have, a lot of us get new cell phones every year. We get new computers every couple of years. Everything has a chip in it these days. All these devices should be recycled in a facility, but most of them are probably not making it to the right places to get recycled.
Yeah.
So I know it can be, I saw here, look, it can be depressing, but I try to be as optimistic as possible that just the fact that thousands of people are tuning in right now to hear this conversation says that there are a lot of people out there that want to know what to do. They want to know the right thing to do. They want to know how they can have an impact on the environment.
Yeah. I mean, I know I do. And I feel like I have such a small education on the whole thing, which is just sad to me because I feel like these seem like very basic things that we all should know and be implementing into our lives. Even something as simple as composting and whatever else, it should be taught and we should be doing it. So
it's hard though, because I like to say that I'm knee deep in trash pretty much every day, and it's hard for me to know what's actually going to get recycled sometimes because it's just such a complex system. It depends on where you live. Different cities have access to different facilities. It can be so overwhelming. That's why I say, you know what? If you don't need to use something that's disposable, try not to use it. If you can compost at home, try not to throw your food waste in the trash. Just because all these things really do have a big impact when we all do it together.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for for coming on and for sharing all this. Do you have anything else that you want to share with us?
You know, just as long as everybody, as many people as possible, do their best to be mindful and to just reduce a little bit of consumption by going from disposable to reusable items, we really can have an impact because, like I said earlier, more and more brands are realizing that sustainability, that being environmentally friendly it's good for business because it really helps their public perception. Their customers really respond well to products and services that are actually environmentally friendly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well,
Hey, well,
thank
thanks
you
for
so
having me. I
much.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Yeah, it was great meeting you
Thanks
too.
for all the work you do.
Thanks, Peyton. Take care.
Bye, you too.